Hello, welcome to Skedlive. It is February 23rd, 2015. I'm your host, Melise Mawatolu, and here's what's making the news now. Talks with the union representing the Canadian National Railway workers continue today. CN is threatening to lock out the almost 5,000 employees represented by Unifor. Both CN and Unifor say they are far from reaching an agreement on fair wages and working conditions. CN Rail operates freight trains in Canada and the United States. A lockout could affect the distribution of goods and threatens commuter trains service in Montreal. CN Rail declined to comment on today's talks. Ontario Education Minister Liz Sandals released changes to the province's sexual education curriculum today. Grades 1 to 3 will learn about the pros and cons of the internet, and fourth graders will learn about the dangers of sexting. The update will also focus on mental health, consent, and healthy relationships. A government release says the changes are to keep the students safe and healthy. The new curriculum starts this September, and this is Ontario's first time changing the sex education curriculum since 1998. Canadian journalist Mohamed Fahmy's retrial was set to begin today, but when Fahmy arrived at court around 9 a.m., two scheduled witnesses failed to appear. The retrial was adjourned until March 8th. Fahmy has spent over 400 days in prison and was released on bail February 12th. West Edmonton Mall was mentioned in an Al-Shabaab video as a target location. The Al-Qaeda-linked terrorism group released a 77-minute video addressing the possibility of an attack on major malls in the US, UK, and Canada. This comes after the same group claimed responsibility on the attacks on the Westgate Mall in Kenya. The Edmonton police say there's, quote, no imminent threat. NDP leader Thomas Mulcair says he will adjust Bill C-51 slightly if his party is elected to power. The anti-terrorism bill has not been passed yet. Ukrainian forces are delaying their promise of withdrawing heavy weapons from the front line in the east. Mounting separatist attacks are violating the peace agreement reached on February 12th by the leaders of Russia, Ukraine, Germany, and France. Both groups were going to pull back their heavy weapons 25 to 70 kilometers to create a buffer zone for the ongoing conflict. The weapon withdrawal is set to begin when gunfire ends over the next 2 weeks. The deal is part of the second ceasefire between Russia and Ukraine. The first agreement was approved in Minsk last September. So far, more than 5,600 have been killed and over 1 million people have been displaced since the fighting started. British police have arrived in Turkey as the search continues for 3 missing schoolgirls believed to have joined ISIS in Syria. Relatives are issuing pleas for the 3 teenage girls amid fears that they were recruited by jihadists online. The teenage girls got on a flight from Gatwick Airport to Istanbul last Tuesday. One of the girls, Shamina Begum, who is thought to have traveled through the airport with her older sister's passport, was following more than 70 known radicals on Twitter. Scotland Yard officials are saying that they are working closely with the Turkish authorities to assist their investigation. TELUS announced Friday that its unlimited internet days are over. They will begin usage-based charges from now on. This means that consumers will pay for a certain amount of data rather than a flat fee for unlimited data. The 10th annual Ice Fest took place at Bloor and Yorkville this past weekend. Ice Fest is a showcase of ice sculptures and carving performances. This year's theme is Frozen in Time. Skedline reporter Arisha Della has the story.
It's its 10th year, and it's called Ice Fest. It's originally started with sassafras doing an ice carving competition, and it's expanded into a full weekend of winter fest, winter fun, ice carving competition, and it provides people something to do when weather's really poor.
It's pretty cool place for festival in winter Toronto, especially like in this weather, snowing, and I saw a lot of like Egypt sculptures, ice sculptures, and as you can see, like this like camel, and anybody can ride them on it, and also like Taj Mahal, one of the Wonder World, and I saw like Ra, like the eyes of Egypt, something like that. That's pretty cool.
I think the festival is a good way to promote their business. It's like they bring it in a creative way, and it brings up like the winter theme. Especially it's like really cold here. I guess it's creative and it's unique.
Well, yeah, I think like it's really nice. It's really good. They're like very talented and like sculpturing this ice thing. And it's winter, so now it's snowing, so like it's like really brings up the winter moment in Canada.
I'm at Lower Yorkville 10th Annual Ice Festival 2015. This festival is a showcase of incredible ice sculpture and live ice carving performance. As you can see, it's snowing today, a perfect festival for the season. I'm Skedlive, reporting for Skedline News.
Thanks for that. Sarah Sequeira is going to tell us how these ice sculptures are going to hold up.
Thanks, Melise. And here's your weather forecast. It's one of the coldest days of the year. Again, so dress in layers and stay inside. Today's high will be -13 with the low of -19, but it feels like -28 with the wind chill. By tonight, the temperature will drop to -20. It's a perfect night to curl up on the couch and watch a movie. I spoke to Humber students earlier today to ask them how they're coping in this cold weather.
Well, bundling up as much as I can. Today I was in a bit of a rush, forgot my scarf, but there's only, at the same time, there's only so much you can do. I mean, when you're a guy, at least you can grow a beard. That certainly helps.
I think it's probably the worst I've seen, and like since like last year, it was pretty cold, and the weather snow came in pretty late, but now it's like just too much. Like, I don't think anybody should be outside for more than 10 minutes.
Keep my scarf and my hat on. Not today, but my coat, nice wool lined. Yeah, just wool socks, that's a good thing too.
Glad to see students are trying to stay warm in this deep freeze. Now for your 5-day forecast. Tuesday will fall to -8 and drop to low of -12. And yes, we are expecting a chance of snow. Wednesday's temperature will reach a high of -11 and a low of -21. Thursday is not looking any better as a high will be -12 again and a low of -21. As Friday rolls in, we get more of the same with a high of -8 and a low of -17. Out of all days, Saturday's temperature will be the best with a high of -6 and a low of -12. Maybe there's hope. According to the calendar, the first day of spring is March 20th, and that's only a month away. That's your forecast for this week. I'm Sarah Sequeira. Now back to Melise.
Thank you, Sarah. Keep those layers on. Now to Michael Chulo for sports.
Here is your sports update for Monday, February 23rd. The Maple Leafs welcomed the Winnipeg Jets to town on Saturday and were looking to snap their 5-game losing streak. Toronto forward James Van Riemsdyk, who had not scored in 10 games, helped Toronto win their first in nearly a month by scoring the game winner in overtime. Leafs starting goaltender Jonathan Bernier stopped 31 shots in the victory and won his first game since January 9th. The boys in blue take on the Philadelphia Flyers on Thursday and the Montreal Canadiens on Saturday. Speaking of the Montreal Canadiens, they ended their 2-game slump on Sunday, backed by a 31-save performance from starting goaltender Carey Price. Max Pacioretty scored 2 first-period goals as the Canadiens held on to win their 38th game of the season. The Canadiens took the game with the final score of 3-1. Montreal hits the road for a game against the St. Louis Blues on Tuesday. After a blowout win over the Atlanta Hawks, the Toronto Raptors traveled to Houston to take on the Rockets. The Raptors entered this contest riding a 4-game win streak after beating some of the top teams in the NBA over the last couple of weeks. The Rockets needed a spark on Saturday night and got it. Houston's guard Corey Brewer led all scorers with 26 points off the bench to lead his team to a 98-76 victory. Raptors All-Star Kyle Lowry, who played for the Rockets from 2009 to 2012, finished with 11 points on 2 of 13 shooting. Toronto visits New Orleans on Monday to take on the Hornets. Miami Heat forward Chris Bosh will miss the remainder of the NBA season after developing blood clots on one of his lungs. The medication required to treat the condition requires at least 6 months of limited physical activity. Bosch was drafted 5th overall by the Toronto Raptors in 2003 and was considered a fan favorite during his 7 years playing for the team. Bosch thanked fans on social media Saturday night for their messages of love and support. The fight is finally on. Floyd Mayweather Jr. will meet Manny Pacquiao on May 2nd in a welterweight showdown being called boxing's richest fight ever. The fight has been in the making for 5 years and finally came together in recent months, with the fighters putting aside their differences to reach an agreement. Both fighters will bring titles into the ring, but the fight will be about much more than belts. Mayweather is unbeaten in his last 47 fights and wants to stake his claim as one of the greatest fighters ever. Pacquiao, meanwhile, will try to show that his knockout loss to Juan Miguel Marquez should not define a remarkable career that started 20 years ago. The fight will be televised as a joint venture between Showtime and HBO, and it is expected to attract millions of viewers. UFC Frank Mir revived his career on Sunday by knocking out Antonio Bigfoot Silva in the first round, capping off a big night for the underdogs. Mir had success with his striking early, but few expected a knockout less than 2 minutes into the fight. With the win, the 35-year-old improves his overall mixed martial arts record to 17-9. The funeral for former NHL defenseman Steve Montador was held on Saturday at the Mississauga Convention Centre. Family, friends, and mourners from across the hockey world attended the proceedings, including former NHLers Craig Conroy, Marty Chalina, Gary Roberts, and Ty Domi, just to name a few. Montador was found unconscious in his Mississauga home earlier this week and later was pronounced dead. The cause of death has not been determined, although foul play has been ruled out. Montador was 35. That's your sports news for today. I'm Michael Chulo. Now back to the studio.
Thanks, Michael. Now Skedline reporter Rochelle has a story on Fashion Week.
Everything old is new again at Humber L Space Gallery Fashion Exhibition. Now we're going to see what Humber students think. The fashion exhibition tracks 100 years of fashion history from 1890 to 1990 using authentic vintage clothing and accessories.
I think that it's a good overview of how men's fashion and women's fashion in a formal setting has changed over time, and you can definitely see the difference of fit, how those have changed over the last 100 years from boxy, more loose fitting jackets to smaller and I would consider better fitting.
Humber Fashion Institute presents an exciting glimpse through the years of bolero jackets to rayon suits, A-line dresses, and long white gloves.
Perfect. So this is 100 years of fashion. Everything old is new again, which is really exciting because as you walk through this space from 1890 all the way to 1980, you're seeing styles that you're even replicating in your day-to-day fashion today in 2015. So this exhibition was brought to us by the Fashion Institute. They've hosted this exhibition before in their own building at Kipling and Lakeshore, but they wanted to bring it to this space since it's a more centralized location and we're really integrated with the campus community. So all of this stuff that you're seeing today is 100 years of fashion from collector Rob Wayne. The Fashion Institute has worked a lot with Rob Wayne before.
I feel like it's great. I mean, you come in, you see like all the different colors, and you know, you have like, you know, the descriptions there next to the different clothing, kind of giving a little bit more information about the time period that it's from and all of that. So I think, yeah, it's great.
So we will be opening up a new gallery at the North Campus for September 2015. It'll function in the same way that the gallery here at Lake does. So all of the ideas for exhibitions come from Humber's faculty, staff, students, and community organizations.
Fashion over the century has definitely changed and has been perfectly displayed through this exhibition. Don't you think? Rochelle Symphonius, Skedline.
That's all for today. I'm Elise Mavitolo. Until next time.